Hey guys, and welcome on into another episode, Getting Well with Terry and Friends, Trends and Betting Picks. I'm Terry, ready to break down today's slate. We got baseball to talk about and a good CFL game to talk about later tonight, going on tonight as well. We'll start the show as we usually do. No show yesterday, so we'll start the show as we usually do, taking a look back at what happened on the last show and then a brief recap of yesterday. And it was not a pretty day on Tuesday. Um, Not pretty at all. So, but I'll briefly go through the recap. Cincinnati Reds, one of my premium plays, minus 135, a nice winner there. Steer, De La Cruz, both didn't really do too much. Alec Boehm didn't do too much in the Philly game. Schwarber cashed just a home run plus 250 and over 1.5 bases plus 120. Washington 5-0 loss against the Diamondbacks. Couldn't hit a struggling pitcher, and foreshadowing how the rest of the day was going to go. Lane Thomas no home run, Meneses no home run. Baltimore lost to the Yankees 4-2. Riley and Olson both on hot streaks, both really good against that pitcher they were facing. Neither got a hit. Correa got 4 bases, so he cashed the over 1.5 bases. Royce Lewis didn't have a hit, so no hit, no home run. Same with Buxton. Max Kepler had multiple bases, so a winner there. And then we get to the NHL game. And some people didn't like my comments towards the Florida Panthers after a game 5. And okay, maybe they were a little bit harsh, but I stick by my comments. The Florida Panthers are frauds. You come in here and you have an opportunity to win your first Stanley Cup at home, and you don't show up for the first half of the game. None of the Florida Panthers were showing up in the first half of the game. Yes, you try to do a miraculous comeback in the second half, but Florida has not been the better team this entire playoff series. Um, Game 3, okay. Game 3 was Florida's game. But they should have won game 1 when they won 3-0. They got Bobrovsky stood on his head. Edmonton has been far, far better the last 2 games. So sometimes you have to admit when you're wrong, and I was wrong um, about this Florida Panthers team. I think they're frauds. That's just how it is. So the puck line lost. Sam Bennett did get a point, so thank you to Sam Bennett. And then I did sprinkle on the minus 2.5 for a quarter unit before the game. And like I said, sometimes you have to admit when you're wrong, and I was wrong about this Florida Panthers team. Heliot Ramos didn't get a hit, so no home run, no over 1.5 bases. Ian Happ got multiple bases, but no home run. Soderstrom, no home run. Overall, minus 4.49 units on Tuesday. It was a rough day. That's just how it went. But we'll switch to yesterday, which was better. Atlanta Braves for the early part of the day. I went bigger on the Braves. I could not believe that they were only minus 125 against the Tigers, who are struggling recently. The Braves have been playing much better. Um, yes, the Tigers had Scooble on the mound, but Ronaldo Lopez was great, and the Atlanta Braves kicked butt. So a nice 2 units there with that one. Schwarber didn't cash his over 1.5 bases. It didn't cash his home run. Everybody was on his home run prop yesterday, so probably explains why he didn't cash. Ramos again, no hit, no home run in yesterday's game. Marte, half unit loss there. Sorry, on a home run. He didn't get anything. Abrams didn't play, so that was a void. Addison Barger over 1.5 hit, run, RBI. A nice win there. He got 3 of the combined hits, runs, RBIs, and Spencer Horwitz the same. He got 2, so cashing that play. Carlos Correa over 1.5 bases lost. Max Kepler over 1.5 bases lost. But that brings us to the thank you play of thank you segment of the
little bit earlier. Lewis blasts one high and deep to left. Back it goes and gone. Off the facing of the second deck. Hitless last night. 3 for 3 tonight is 8. And the Twins have their first lead tonight. It's 2-1. Another 2-strike hit. This guy's going to be leading.
And what's funny about that is Lewis had actually already cashed the over 1.5 bases prop with his home run, or sorry, with his 2 hits that he had in the game already. So technically, that home run didn't really mean too much, as we had already cashed the play on his 2 hits previous. But plus 130, Lewis over 1.5 bases. He got 6 bases last night, so we'll thank him for that. Overall, up half a unit. Not where I want to be, especially Tuesday. Yesterday, small winning day. Not where I want to be. So have some improving to do, and I hope that comes today on today's slate. Like button smashed. Thanks, Tommy. I cashed out Florida futures for plus 900 after 3-0 and bought Edmonton at plus 1700. Also bought Bob at plus 420 and McDavid plus 7 and plus 165. There you go. Very nice. Nice hit on the Braves, Terry. I do not play the Braves. All right. But your Toronto Blue Jays getting swept was a great series for me. Congrats. Do we bet Royce Lewis every game for the rest, every day of the rest of the season? No, not every day, but yeah, pretty much every day. We'll talk. Eventually, he is going to go cold, and he said it. He had an interview, which was a really well done interview, post game interview, where he said after going over 4, 0 for 5 the game before. He said his mindset is new pitchers, new day. What happened in the past is gone. He doesn't let it affect him at all. And then what does he do? He goes 3 for 3 or 3 for 4 yesterday. I don't know if he got hit in his last at bat, but a great game for him yesterday. And yeah, he's not a player that has gone into any really big cold streak. So as long as he doesn't do that, we'll continue to bet him on a not daily basis, but on a regular basis. We will jump into today's slate because we've got a game starting here in about 20 minutes. Starting with this one here, the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Washington Nationals. Yeah, I had the half unit on a Marte over 1.5 bases, but it could have been a lot worse. I was leaning with the over in that game with the 2 pitchers that we had on the mound, both struggling mightily. I was heavily leaning towards the over, but glad I stayed off that. And now here in this game, again, we have some pitchers that are struggling recently, at least on Arizona's side. Ryan Nelson, 4 for 5 with 5.49 ERA in the season, is coming off a pretty decent game in his last game, but it was against the White Sox. Still gave up 6 hits, but only 1 earned run, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. He's been giving up at least 6 hits a start in his most recent starts. And I was going to face this Nationals team. Corbin Carroll isn't playing today. Wasn't going to play him regardless, but because he's not playing and the lineup was announced nice and early, I put him in dark red, so nobody else plays him. We are going to back a Washington National. We're going to go with Jesse Winker here. Over 1.5 bases for a half unit. He's done that in 8 of his last 14 games. Got a home run yesterday. He is 1 for 2 against Nelson with a home run. So we'll take him here over 1.5 bases to hit maybe a double, maybe a triple, maybe a home run. And then we'll be happy here with this game. We will go on along to our second one here, which is the Tampa Bay Rays and the Minnesota Twins. In this one here, Zach Littell on the mound for the Rays, Simeon Woods Richardson on the mound for the Minnesota Twins. This is my only MLB premium play of the day in this game, but I'm going to give it to you guys. The game starts in 20 minutes, so I'll give it out here. Tampa Bay Rays players here. Scroll. I don't know why that's so big. There go. I don't know why I'm having issues with this today. Tampa Bay Rays players have not faced Simeon Woods Richardson before, so no previous stats against them. Brandon Lowe has been hitting the ball well recently. Randy Arozarena as well. But ultimately, I'm not getting to any Tampa Bay Rays players here. Staying off Max Kepler and Carlos Correa today, but yes, we are going back to Royce Lewis. Yes, he's over 3 against Littell, but Littell has been really awful recently. His last game against Atlanta, team that have been struggling offensively, 2 innings, 8 hits, 6 earned runs. Previous against Baltimore, 7 hits, 3 earned runs. Previous against Baltimore, 11 hits, 3 earned runs. He has been having a rough go in recent starts. And then the previous game before that against Oakland, 6 hits, 3 earned runs. He's given up at least a home run in 6 starts in a row. Gave up 2 home runs in his last game. And now he's facing this Twins offense. Give me Twins money line, which I locked in at minus 120 last night as a premium play. And then give me Royce Lewis home run for a quarter unit and over 1.5 bases for a half unit. It doesn't scare me that he's 0 for 3 against Littell. That's basically one game. One game that he played him should be last year. And that doesn't bother me here in this one. But not going to overload on props here. Just going to go back to Royce Lewis, who's been cashing for us. Moving on along to our next game, Seattle Mariners and the Cleveland Guardians. Luis Castillo on the mound for the Mariners. Logan Allen on the mound for the Guardians. And ultimately, I'm staying off this game. Stephen Kwan does have good numbers against Castillo, 5 for 12, all singles. So 5 singles. He has multiple bases in 9 of 11. I was kind of looking towards him. Jose Ramirez doesn't have the best average against Castillo, but when he does hit, they are big hits. 2 triples, 3 home runs against him, 6 hits and 23 at-bats. Wouldn't shock me to see Ramirez have a good game. But don't want to overload on props. Thursdays have been kind of rough days in the MLB. I've noticed Thursdays have been a bit rough, so we're not going to go big on a lot of props here in this game or on this slate. But there are some guys you could look at here if you wanted to play this game. Moving on along to our next one, Houston Astros and the Chicago White Sox here. Spencer Arrighetti on the mound for Houston. 3-6 with a 6.37 ERA. He'd had a couple good starts in a row and then faced Detroit in his last game, going 1.1 innings, giving up 5 hits and 7 earned runs in an absolutely disastrous start against the Detroit Tigers. Now he's facing the White Sox, who don't have a strong offense either, but potentially maybe could hit Arrighetti here. Chris Flexen on the mound. He's 0-3 in his last 7 starts with a 6.54 ERA. Coming off a rough game against Arizona, 9 hits, 4 earned runs, and 3.1 innings in the loss. Ultimately here, Houston bats aren't really hitting all that well. White Sox, kind of the same thing. This game is just an easy pass. You guys know if you've been watching the show all season that I really kind of stay away from the White Sox. I don't want to really back their props. But Houston is not a team I want to back whatsoever. I think Houston has taken a gigantic step back this year. They're not a team I want to have my money on at all. So no interest in betting them. What's up? Good luck today, Terry. And thank you as always for the show, Terry. Any top props that are sticking out today so far, brother, Terry? Well, the game goes over 8.5. White Sox don't walk a lot. Arrighetti is a walk machine. There you go. There you go. And when it comes to player props, I don't really have a favorite. I don't really have a favorite. But there are a few coming up where I have small plays, but big plus money plays, and it is in a game I really like. So we'll get to that here very shortly. I'm hoping it's a home run day because there's some nice home run props I have coming up shortly here. But my favorite game is probably the CFL, to be honest, today. Dodgers and the Colorado Rockies here in this game. Gavin Stone on the mound for the Dodgers. Ty Block on the mound for the Colorado Rockies. And as I do with most games in Colorado, passing here in this one. Otani has been the hottest Dodger right now. So you could look at his props if you'd like. Freddie Freeman, 1 for 10 against Block. That one hit was a double, but 1 for 10 is really bad. So staying away from him. Not interested in the Colorado Rockies. Maybe Jacob Stallings. But again, being in Colorado, it's going to be probably minus 120 for him, minus 125 maybe. So there's just no value here in Colorado. Off to our next game, Kansas City Royals and the Oakland Athletics. Here in this game, on the mound for Kansas City, we have Seth Lugo, 10-2 with a 2.40 ERA. He's been getting hit a bit recently in recent starts. 5 earned runs, 6 hits against Cleveland, 8 hits, 4 earned runs against the Yankees, 6 hits, 2 earned runs against the Dodgers in his last start. So obviously 3 good teams there. Now he's facing Oakland, which isn't necessarily a good team, but they do have their moments where they hit. Mitch Spence, on the mound for Oakland. He struggled overall in recent games. 9 hits, 4 earned runs against Minnesota, 9 hits, 4 earned runs against Seattle, 5 hits, 2 earned runs against Toronto here in this game. Not going to look at any Kansas City Royal props. Nick Lofton is starting to heat up, but only 2 games. Kind of want to see him do it again here in a third game. Bobby Witt, potentially always a good look for player props. But I'm doing it. I'm taking 3 props against Seth Lugo here in this game. And it's not necessarily that he's pitching awful because he's had a great season, but he is starting to get hit a little bit here, as I said, in recent games. Zach Geloff, he's 2 for 6 against Lugo with a double. He also has multiple bases in 3 games in a row and a home run in back-to-back games. Geloff home run is plus 900. So he's done it back-to-back games. I will take him here for a home run for a quarter unit. Also multiple bases. Brent Rooker, he's got multiple bases in 3 of his last 4. He's 2 for 6 with a home run against Lugo. So one of the rare times this season I'm taking some player props against Lugo. But if they don't hit Lugo, also the bullpen will come in as well. But we're taking some Oakland Athletics props here today. Hopefully MLB players recover this morning and afternoon for tonight. Yes, hopefully. But we will move on along to the next game here, Baltimore Orioles and the New York Yankees here. Cole Irvin on the mound for the Orioles. He's been pretty consistent. 8 to 9 hits, 2 to 3 earned runs, 1 or 0 walks. So he's has strikeouts, 6 against Tampa Bay, 8 in his last game against Atlanta. So overall, he's been pitching pretty consistently, not giving up a lot of runs, but he has been giving up a lot of hits. Now he's got to face this Yankees team, this Yankees offense. Luis Gil has been pitching great for the Yankees all season long. 9-1 with a 2.03 ERA in 14 starts. He's 6-0 in his last 7 with a 1.26 ERA. He's just been fantastic for the New York Yankees. Not going to any Baltimore props here. Nothing really stands out here in this game for the Orioles. And then with the Yankees, going to go our quarter unit on Giancarlo Stanton home run. Got one last night. 5 of his last 15 games, he has a home run. He's 3 for 6 against Irvin with a home run. As I said, Irvin's been getting hit, so I like Giancarlo Stanton here for a home run, plus 220 here in this game for a quarter unit on Mr. Stanton. Dodgers bats and Colorado bats are moneymakers. Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, though, the price is bad. The price is awful in Colorado. Toughest read, Baltimore Yankee bullpen struggling right now against these lineups. There we go. So if Stanton does get his hit early, maybe he can get, or his home run early, maybe he can get one against the bullpen. But is this, no, not the final game of the night, but this is one of the games that I'm really interested in, as you can see. And this is the game where I mentioned we've got some home run hitters that are at great prices here in this game. Starting with the San Francisco Giants, Keaton Wynn. I brought him up in recent games when I talk about the San Francisco Giants when he's starting. 2-4 in his last 7 starts with an 8.51 ERA. It has been rough. 5 hits, 3 earned runs in his last game, which was a very good game for him. 6 hits, 7 earned runs before that. 5 hits, 5 earned runs before that. 8 hits, 7 earned runs before that. And then a game against Philadelphia where he didn't even last an inning. 4 hits, 5 earned runs. So it has just been awful for Keaton Wynn lately. 4 games in a row, he's given up at least a home run. And also 6 of his last 8, he's given up at least a home run. So he's been giving up home runs. And now he has to face the St. Louis Cardinals offense. And Pedro Paez, I'm looking at him, waiting for his props to become available. If he's confirmed in the lineup, I'll be taking him here, probably at a very high plus price once again. So that's why it's in pink, because we're waiting. But I did take Ivan Herrera here, who's got a home run in 2 of his last 4 games. He is plus 1,000 to get a home run today. So I will take that. As I said, 2 of his last 4 games, he's facing a pitcher that is struggling mightily. So we'll take Ivan Herrera. Jorge Soler, he's got a home run in 2 of his last 4 games. He's starting to heat up. Great home run hitter last year. Starting to heat up this year. Plus 550 for Jorge Soler to hit a home run. And Heliot Ramos has gone a bit quiet recently the last couple games, but plus 850 for him to get a home run here. He's done that in 3 of his last 6. We'll take him. We'll take him here to get a home run. Andre Palante pitching for the St. Louis Cardinals. Hasn't been awful in recent starts. Facing Colorado, the Chicago Cubs in his last start. 5 hits, 1 earned run. Really good game against Colorado. 3 hits, no runs, and then a rough game against St. Louis. 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 1 home run, and 3 innings pitched. So he's only given up 1 home run lately. He hasn't really been giving up a ton of home runs, but he hasn't been pitching a lot recently either. Or he hasn't been pitching long into games. So if Palante doesn't give up a home run to Soler Ramos, I believe the Cardinals bullpen will have a good chance as well. So that's what we're looking at for this game. Some nice plus prices here for some guys to hit home runs in this one. Final game of the night, Milwaukee Brewers, San Diego Padres, and I'm passing. Brewers offense is cold as ice right now. Padres, Merrill hit a home run yesterday, but not quite as consistent as I'd like. Tatis 0 for 4 against Bryce Wilson. So ultimately, a game that I will be passing in here to end the MLB slate. Next up, we will go to the CFL. And we will go through my power rankings before we get to today's game. And might be a little bit shocking here, but in last place, in ninth place right now in the CFL, I have the Hamilton Tiger Cats, my hometown team. Now, of course, this doesn't mean they're by far the worst team in the league. Next week, they could very well move up to eighth if a couple teams above them have a rough game. But Hamilton's defense has been awful in both games. Last week against Saskatchewan, Bo Levi Mitchell had his best game as a Tiger Cat by far, and it still wasn't enough to get the win. So this Tiger Cats team right now, I have them ranked as ninth, but as I said, they could move up depending on how teams above them do. In eighth, we've got the Edmonton Elks, which again could very well be ninth. Next week, this Edmonton Elks team finds ways to lose games. Obviously, 0-2 to start the season. Only lost by 3 points to Montreal, though. And that's why they're not in last. They had a very, very close game with Montreal, who we'll talk about here in the power rankings towards the end. But Montreal, a very good team. Edmonton held their own against them. So that will keep them out of the bottom spot in eighth. In seventh, slowly moving up each week, we've got the Calgary Stampeders, who I'm not high on at all. I still don't believe in this team. 26-17 loss against Calgary. Against BC last week. That win in week one is why Calgary slightly is above Edmonton and Hamilton, but we could see Calgary falling this week, and not because of anything. They're not playing this week, so it wouldn't be by them having a bad game, but maybe if Hamilton or Edmonton have a good game, they'll move above Calgary. In sixth place, we've got the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who continue to fall down my power rankings. I had them in first to start the season. Now, of course, it was pretty much like a three-way tie for first. It was very, very close. But Winnipeg has continued to shit the bed. Facing Montreal in their first week, a team they lost their way up to. They couldn't get up to win that or to even really compete in that game, losing at home. Then they go and face Ottawa last week. Now, I do like the Ottawa Red Blacks. As you can see, they're above Winnipeg here, which I don't think a lot of people would have expected. The way Ottawa's played in recent seasons. But this Winnipeg Blue Bombers team looks absolutely awful. And until they start to get it together, they're going to continue to fall down the power rankings. That brings us to Ottawa, who I have in fifth place. Now, of course, they've only played one game, so it's not like there's really a huge sample size here, but I will put them above Winnipeg. I like what I've seen from Ottawa. I think they're an improved team this year. Right now, they're in fifth. Kind of the same deal as Ottawa. Toronto was only played in one game, which they won. So they're going to be in fourth here. How they do against Edmonton will determine what happens with them heading into next week. But only one game, so we'll see what happens with the Argonauts. In third place, continuing to move up the power rankings, is the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who are undefeated so far this year. Close win against Hamilton last week, 33-30. But Saskatchewan 2-0. And don't know if they're going to move up to second or first after this week. It would have to be like a huge win for the Rough Riders. BC or Montreal would have to do really bad. So Rough Riders might kind of be in their third spot here, maybe down to fourth, depending. We'll see what happens next week, but probably not moving too much. BC Lions, who have been consistent. I've had them at number 2 all 3 weeks. Pre-season, week 1, and now after week 2, BC is still in second. Hasn't necessarily got off to the best start this season, 1-1. But they don't deserve to fall down after a 26-17 win last week. But they're not good enough to overpass the Montreal Alouettes, who I have in first place, the number one team in the CFL, until further notice. They have the best defense, and they've so far been the best team. Storage Club says D-backs money line. I only have one money line. That's in the Twins today. No real opinion on the Diamondbacks money line. Sorry about that one. But we will go to today's game, which is between the Ottawa Redblacks and the Montreal Alouettes. Here in this one, Montreal, as I just showed you guys, I have them ranked as number one in the CFL at home for their home opener here against Ottawa, who had a very good game last week. The spread was 7.5. Of course, we've seen it move down to 6.5. Both teams have gone under 47.5. Montreal in both games, Ottawa in their one game. Ottawa averaging 23 points per game, 19 against in one game. Montreal 25 points for, 16 points against in two games. Montreal's won the last 5 meetings between the teams, but Ottawa's covered plus 7.5 in 3 of the 5 meetings, and 3 of the last 4 have gone under 47.5. I do have a side play on picksandparlays.net, which is in the description below, so you can get that for sale, for purchase on the site. But I will give my total, which is also a premium play. I'll give that out here. I'm going with the under 47.5. Montreal, of course, the best defense in the CFL by far. And Ottawa, well, they faced Winnipeg, who we've seen take a big step back with their defense this year. I still like what I saw from Ottawa defensively, and I think this will be another low-scoring game for both teams. Looking at player props, right now, nothing. No player props for me. As I said, I'm on the under, so I don't really want to look at too much when it comes to player props. Justin Hardy had a great game, the first game of the season, 111 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. Raquel Armstead did great in the rushing as well, 95 rushing yards last week. Dominic Rhymes had a good game. Braylon Addison. Dustin Crum. We were on his touchdown prop last week. He got the first touchdown of the game. He got the 1 touchdown there. And while I do lean with that again, I really don't want to go with player props in this game because I can see a lot of field goals. I can see a lower scoring game here with a lot of field goals. Dustin Crum touchdowns minus 110. So to take a touchdown prop against Montreal, the best defense in the league, and not even get plus money for it, I can't do that. I cannot do that. So passing on Dustin Crum, a touchdown. And then with the Montreal Alouettes, Fajardo's done good with his passing yard. It's over 253.5 in both games. And then when it comes to touchdowns, Cole Spiker got one in his last game. Fletcher got one in the last game. Phil had a really good first game of the year. Game 2, not so good. So ultimately, no props. But I'm on the under, and I'm also on a side, which you can get over on picksandparlays.net. Premium plays, as I said, you can in the CFL game, so you can go purchase that on the site. I have CFL games for the rest of the weekend up. I have NHL up for tomorrow. As I usually do, I'll give out my NHL on the show. So if you want to wait for that, you can wait for that, or you can go and grab it now if you want to get it early. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll be back tomorrow for another episode. Getting Wild with Terry and Friends, Trends and Betting Picks. Thanks for watching, guys, and best of luck today.